Sleeve Notes.
Exclusive insights on brand new albums.
Only on Phantom 105.2.
Knock, knock, open wide. See what's on the other side.
This week on Sleeve Notes, we're heading behind the magic door of Galaxie's rehearsal space to tell you all about the recording of their brand new album.
It's a brown door that holds some of the greatest bands in Dublin, is what it is.
Knock, knock, anymore. Come with me through the magic door.
It was here in the band's rehearsal space where part of the new album was recorded, the title of which says a lot about Dave, Alistair, Mick and Anthony. It's called Laserdisc Nights 2, as in the sequel, even though this is their first album ever.
The two thing was...
We like the idea. We like the idea of calling an album. Again, it's the influence. It's influence of movies and of a time and all that, you know. And the idea of, say, like a Beverly Hills Cop 2 and all this kind of stuff has a heavy influence in the music, and it always has.
We just wanted to evoke something really, really weird. You know what I mean? Really otherworldly, but also not quite 80s, not quite 90s, not even quite like noughties, you know what I mean? And Laserdisc is neither here nor there. For us, it was evocative of just what we were.
Before going into studio to record Laserdisc Nights 2, the band had already recorded the Trans World EP. But if you meet them, you probably shouldn't mention it.
Yeah, you know when you have a kid who you just don't want anymore. So, but
you send them to boarding
school. Yeah, you send them to boarding school, and then you burn down that boarding school. But for us, it was like, okay, if we're going to do an album, well, then it has to be exactly as representative as possible. So it took basically from when Al played the first kick drum on the first song, a year. Yeah.
When recording, most bands go to ground for a few months, focusing on rehearsing, recording, before locking themselves away to finish the record. For Galaxie, a band who thrive on playing live, that was never going to be an option.
I have to be very careful not to completely disappear from the scene.
Yeah.
You know, you were kind of very conscious of the fact that, you know, if we took like 3 or 4 months away from everything completely, that people would start to kind of wonder what's going on with this band, you know, are they still doing stuff?
That's a big deal for us to disappear for that long, because, you know, our reputation as a live act, that's our lifeblood, you know. So to go away for such a long time was a really big deal for us.
Apart from helping to pay for the recording, playing live also helped to shape the band's sound when they went into studio.
There was a kind of feeling with the album that's like, you know, we want to capture what goes on in our live set, and at times that was kind of difficult to do. You know, when you get down to the recording process, there are things that work live, and when you actually listen to them back on the sort of mixing stage, you're like, actually that doesn't really work.
It was a lot of me and Dave staring at each other on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday afternoons, and a lot of just sitting down and just going, do it again, let's get it right.
Laserdisc Nights 2 was recorded everywhere, from a cottage in Cavan to a studio in the Dublin mountains. So mixing the new album was always going to be a huge job.
Just after Christmas, we met the guy who's going to mix the album. We were like, okay, so we're ready to go. And he was kind of like, no, you're not ready to go. He was like, go back and just put it all, do it all the way I wanted to do it.
In order for me to mix it right, it has to be, the actual files have to be right.
I don't want these digital recordings to sound digital.
The material has to be right.
I want you to go back and I want you to put them through all this equipment.
We have to redo certain things.
And I want to put them through my equipment.
To basically bring it all up to scratch.
Which, at the time when he said it to us, sounded like a lot of work, but now it's like the best thing he said to us.
When you say he, you mean Sean?
Hi, how's it going?
I mean Sean Corcoran. Sean, Super Extra Bonus Party, sound engineer to a billion bands around Dublin.
By the end of it, I was basically just dying to go home to be mad for, like, you know, spuds and a steak. I've done a remix for them about a year, last summer. I basically just did a remix of one of the songs that was that's on this album, Beyond Trans World, but it was also on their previous EP. I think we kind of just get along really. Like we kind of have a lot of the same kind of ideas, and both kind of very much into kind of the likes of film and synthesizers and kind of that especially kind of 80s kind of films. I think because it must be an age thing or something like that, but we all grew up on these kind of things, so we have that much in common at least.
It's almost like a soundtrack, if you know what I mean. It's almost like the flow of the music is actually almost not telling a story, but you can almost envision it's almost there. It's almost like accompanying a kind of a piece of video, a piece of film, if you know what I mean.
Sleeve Notes. Exclusive insights on brand new albums. Only on Phantom 105.2.
A Tin Pot Production.
Part funded by the BAI Sound and Vision Scheme. Sleeve Notes. Exclusive insights on brand new albums. Only on Phantom 105.2.
So you're packing me and shipping me off tomorrow. I'm scared. Do I really have to go? I'm excited.
Laserdisc Nights 2 is the debut album from electronic four-piece Galaxie, an album that's more of a movie than a record.
Family I've known. I'm sorry, I just don't want to go.
The idea was at the start to do the first ever album commentary, but we just never got it together.
We also talked, well, actually, we might do it in a couple of months' time if we get together. We're going to release it on VHS.
It's been a long journey for Galaxie. Mixing only began last Christmas, and for sound engineer Sean Corcoran, this would prove to be a massive job.
There's just like there's so much detail in there, because we have to kind of worry about maybe your usual maybe 10-12 tracks of drums, then maybe like 30 tracks of synthesizers, then there is like on midnight there was up to nearly 20 tracks of vocals, then there's the bass, guitars, and that's before we add in our effects. It takes an awful lot of concentration to remember everything, and no matter how hard you try, there's always little bits you forget, and you have to come back to them again, and then when you tweak one thing, then something else has to be tweaked, and goes on in this endless kind of process.
What's so great about Sean, working with Sean, was that he was like, you would say something in a suggestion and he'd get it for you straight away, and he knew how to kind of get the results and like as in our ideas and all that, and we wanted it to kind of sound a little bit like this, you know, and he could do it. But it's just, we did that a lot with him, you know. But it definitely paid off, and it sounds fantastic.
So now that the album has been released, Al, Dave, Mick and Anthony can finally take stock and look back on some of their favourite tracks from Laserdisc Nights 2.
For me, the one track that kind of surprised me and actually turned out probably my favourite on the album is a track called Orion. Paul O'Reilly, is it? Yeah, Paul O'Reilly from Channel 1 does the lead vocals on it. But the way the sounds came together when it came to sort of mixing that track down, I think we had a vision of a certain Michael Jackson song that we wanted to sonically recreate. And not saying that it sounds
Can we ask
anyway.
what Michael Jackson song?
No. Sonically, we had this vision of what we wanted to get, and I think we got it. It sounds really tight and sort of punchy. So that's my favourite song on the album.
I would probably pick something like Blood Beach, which I think is about halfway through the album, and it was something we actually came into this very space where you're sitting right here. We were just like set up in a circle. I think Michael originally had this like kind of a kernel of an idea of a melody, and we just kind of sat down, and over the course of like a couple of hours we wrote that song, and essentially that's what appears on the album. It's one of the songs that like a lot of the songs on the album had quite a long gestation period, but Blood Beach was something that we literally just sat down of an afternoon, and just like by the end of it, it was done. And I think there's something great about being able to write and record in that sort of way.
For me, it's the Miami trilogy. It's The Powers of Miami, This Is Reality, Diane, and Blood Beach, as Dave was saying. For me, those three are kind of truly unique. Even from gestation, like they only came together last summer when we'd already recorded the first 5 or 6 songs on the album. I don't know, they have that kind of fist-pumping sadness type night drive thing to them, and for me they're just wonderful.
We think we got all the time in the world. How much time has the world got?
For me, listen to an album or listen to a record, I find myself ever so slightly around 4, 5 or 6, just kind of seeing what's coming up at the end, of what are they going to try for the end. But I love the fact that they're in the middle of our album, and they are the really, really strong centre point. They're the centre holds with those bad boys, like, you know. Have 11 tunes to represent the Galaxie is absolutely amazing. You know what I mean? The fact that any of them can do that job, you can put them on and go, that's the Galaxie. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool. That's, for us, that's like the biggest treat ever, because it took so long to get to this point.
Someone once said, great works are not finished, they're abandoned. And much as...
But we finished ours.
We finished ours, yeah.
Sleeve Note. Exclusive insights on brand new albums. Only on Phantom 105.2.
A Tin Pot Production.
Part funded by the BAI Sound and Vision Scheme.